From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Good morning, security gang, and happy Tuesday. Welcome to another episode of the CyberHub Podcast. Good afternoon from Israel. Still here. I'll be leaving here, headed to Black Hat. The show might change hours during Black Hat. So typically, I still do the show at 9 a.m. Eastern during Black Hat, but that's 6 a.m. Pacific. That's dedication, yes, but also it's Black Hat, and every night goes till 2 a.m. And so we may have special hours the week of Black Hat, but not this week. This week, we're still live at 9 a.m. Eastern, right here, 4 p.m. Israel time. Packed show for all of y'all today. That's SharePoint 0 Day. We're getting more and more information around it. CrushFTP, some data breaches, some vulnerabilities you need to be paying attention to. This is not the time for the weak and wary in cybersecurity. It's the time where we put on our armors. We get ready to head into a straight battle that exists within the trust ecosystem of our enterprise architecture, right? SharePoint is critical for so many Microsoft-based organizations. So this 0 Day, yeah, it's not Log4j, but it's definitely significant. Let's get right into this morning show. But before we do that, I've got my afternoon espresso, whatever you're drinking. I hope you're enjoying it wherever you are on the planet. Coffee cup cheers, y'all. Brilliant. Okay, here we go. Let's get into ToolShell 0 Day that's now being linked to China. So that's really, really important to understand attribution, because 0 days. So I'm a preface, and I'm going to go on a rant here for a minute. So buckle up. Yesterday on the show, if you missed yesterday's show, I urge you to go back and watch it. One of the issues on the show that we discussed yesterday was Senator Tom Cotton's absolute outrage at the fact that apparently Microsoft has some DoD code being written or being developed within China. And then the Chinese are essentially deploying it with American supervision, and the Americans are supposed to blindly trust the fact that that works. And according to several whistleblower claims, getting to Senator Tom Cotton and many others on the House, and I've gotten some information since the story aired. I've had people reach out and give me a little bit more context, is the fact we don't know that. Now, that's the same with Alan Bradley. Alan Bradley, aka Rockwell Automation, was writing all of their code for all of their OT products that were being deployed in all critical infrastructure across the world, but specifically in the United States and China. And then the US team was doing QA on that code. But in QA, you don't discover back doors. You don't discover it, especially if it's an intricate part of several different deployments, meaning specifically you can have version 1 have this specific vulnerability that's undetectable. Version 2 will introduce another one that is undetectable through QA because you know the QA process. 3, 4, 5, 6. And eventually you do that. And we know the Chinese play a long game. So when attribution for this SharePoint 0 Day comes from China, one has to wonder, how much did the Chinese know before Microsoft discovered this 0 Day? And how much do you trust China? And sorry, I'm so red. I was at the beach this morning. So I'm just going to say that right now. That is a tan. That's not lighting. That's just how red I am here from the beach. So I just want to kind of put all that there. Sorry going over that, but those are CVEs 2025 53770 and 53771. All of those, both of those have been patched now by Microsoft. Sentinel-1 saying they started seeing attacks as early as July 17th. That's late last week. The second and third clusters seen by the company after the ToolShell attacks broke were opportunistic and likely not part of the first waves of attack. So while the news broke, Shadow Server reported around 9,000 internet exposed instances of SharePoints, with a majority of them being in North America and Europe. The Washington Post, learning from several sources that the attacks targeted SharePoint servers housed by energy companies, universities, and Asian telecom companies, as well as some government agencies in the US and Europe. Sentinel-1 hasn't attributed this to anyone, but we now know that several others have attributed this to China. So there's a bunch of exploitations out there. The Palo Alto saying attackers are bypassing identity controls, including MFA and SSO, to gain privileged access. Once inside, they're exfiltrating sensitive data, deploying persistent backdoors, and even stealing cryptographic keys. And that's the heavy lift. Changing cryptographic keys is a heavy, heavy lift for many organizations. CISA has already added these CVEs to its Kev catalog. So we're seeing that Microsoft recommending rotating them after patches or mitigations are applied. That's your cryptographic keys. We put those instructions yesterday on our website at cyberhubpodcast.com. You can follow those there. CrushFTP was also featured as our number 2 story yesterday on the show, and it remains our number 2 story as well. Over 1,000 instances are still exposed online and vulnerable to hijack attack that exploit this critical security bug, providing admin access to the web interface. This is CVE 2025-54309er. It's a mishandled AS2 validation. It impacts all CrushFTP versions below 10.8.5 and 11.3.4_23. The vendor tagged the flaw as actively exploited in the wild on July 19th. So we're seeing this happen there in the US. 495 instances are still online. We're seeing Brazil, Russia, China, Kazakhstan, as well as some countries in the Middle East and across Europe, all with open vulnerability. So if you're a CrushFTP customer or part of a supply chain, you want to make sure it's absolutely patched up ASAP. We move to this data breach at Indian crypto exchange CoinDCX, where $44 million of crypto were stolen from reserves. The crypto was stolen over the weekend. The company co-founders Niraj Khandawalawal and Sumit Gupta announced issues on social media Saturday afternoon before confirming funds have been stolen from one of the company's internal operational account. CoinDCX customers were not impacted. User funds were not stolen or accessed. This appears to be something within the company's own operation account. They say they're working with a security team to investigate the incidents, patch the vulnerabilities, and trace the stolen funds so that they can be blocked or recovered. The company is pledging to also create a bug bounty program in response to the incidents. Again, blockchain firms, you're there. You're a target. You're an active target no matter where you are. No matter how big or small you are, North Koreans see you as that. So that's really, really important. CoinDCX did publish a early post-mortem on Sunday saying that the losses will be covering the losses through its reserves. The funds were traced back to 2 wallets, one holding 27.6 million and another holding 16.2 million. Both were empty as of Monday afternoon, but experts traced the funds to another wallet. Gupta warning on multiple platforms for customers to be wary of imposters trying to pose as CoinDCX officials, urging them not to provide login information to anyone there, and that's smart in any period of time as well. The China-linked cyber espionage group APT41 has been attributed to a new campaign targeting government IT services in the continent of Africa. The attackers are using hard-coded names of internal services, IP addresses, and proxy servers embedded within their malware, according to Kaspersky researchers Denis Kulik and Daniil Pogorelov. One of the C2 servers was a captive SharePoint servers within the victim infrastructure. APT41 is the moniker to a Chinese nation-state hacking group that's known for targeting organizations spanning multiple sectors. What makes this campaign noteworthy, according to Kaspersky, is its focus on Africa, where China's been trying to gain a lot of strategic footholds there by bribing corrupt politicians and local officials, by essentially building airports and out in the middle of nowhere, giving these predatory loans where they end up owning, kind of strategic assets within that nation, because they'll never be able to pay back those loans. So a method here seeing that, but now for them to go cyber after African targets is showing that there's apparently some sort of shift within Africa to try and back away from their reliance on China, and China is trying to fight that off. Let's get into some data breaches where luxury French fashion giant Dior is notifying customers that their PII was compromised in the January 2025 breach that the company encountered. The House of Dior recently discovered an unauthorized external party accessed some of the data we hold for our Dior fashion and accessory customers in the notification letter sent to impacted customers, which some had letters of the copies of the letters submitted to attorney generals in several states. They reveal that the information that was compromised includes names, not PII, addresses, not PII, contact details, not PII, date of birth, PII, passport and government ID and numbers, PII, social security numbers, PII, other information that customer provided. I don't know what that is. Some of it may be PII, some of it may not be PII. No payment information was compromised, showing you they were PCI compliant, at least there. So they have that there. These notification letters were sent as Louis Vuitton in the same week as Louis Vuitton was notifying customers in the UK, South Korea, Turkey, and some other countries about their data breach. Dell is now confirming that the gang known as World Leaks breached one of Dell's products demo platforms earlier this month and is trying to extort the company into paying a ransom. Dell acknowledging the incident to our friends over at Bleeping Computer, confirming the threat actor had breached its customer solution center platform, which is used to demo Dell products and solutions to customers. This is separated from customer and partner network, so it's just a demo network. It's primarily built with fake data and publicly available data sets used solely for product demo purposes or Dell scripts. So there's nothing there. So they're able to get into it, and now they're trying to blackmail them, and they're like, no, we're just going to go ahead and just say you guys did it, and it's not really a big deal. Smart move. Don't pay them. ExpressVPN is fixing a flaw in its Windows client that was causing their RDP protocol traffic to bypass the VPN tunnel, exposing users' real IP addresses. One of the key premises of any VPN is making a user's IP address invisible. Failing to do so is a pretty bad technical failure for a VPN product. ExpressVPN, which doesn't have a podcast, it doesn't sponsor except mine, is a leading VPN service provider. It's constantly rated among the top VPN service providers because they're everywhere. Any podcast you listen to, you'll hear this podcast brought to you by ExpressVPN. So, security researcher known as Adam X reported a vulnerability through ExpressVPN's bug bounty program that exposed the RDP and other TCP traffic transmitted over port 3389er. The ExpressVPN team found the issue was caused by remnants of a debug code used for internal testing being mistakenly included in production builds, specifically builds from 12.907, which was released 4 months ago, to 12.101.0.2 beta. So you want to make sure you're not on those versions, and you can get there as well and take care of that. Muddy Water, the Iran-linked cyber threat actor, is deploying a new version of the DCHSpy Android spyware in the context of the Israel-Iran conflict. According to Lookout, they've been active since at least 2017. They're known as Static Kittens again, or Mango Sandstorm, whatever. One name. I thought we had this thing. Well, anyways, they've been linked to the Iranian Ministry of Intelligence and Security. 1 week after the war started, Lookout identified a new DCHSpy samples, which appear to have been deployed against adversaries disguised as VPNs or banking applications using political lures. So, again, using geopolitical events for cyber as part of a way to also cause disruptions. There's that there as well. And finally, the Hungarian police arrested a suspect in cyber attacks on independent media in the country. The 23-year-old suspect from Budapest is accused of launching DDoS attacks that disrupted access to at least half a dozen Hungarian news sites beginning in April of 2023. The attacks also temporarily took down the websites of Vienna-based International Press Institute in September of last year, shortly after the organization published a report detailing similar incidents. According to Hungary's National Bureau of Investigation, the man allegedly used DDoS for hire services and a range of online tools to orchestrate the attacks under the alias Hano. Police have not released their name or whether or not the suspect has been formally charged. After questioning, he was released from custody while the investigation continues. So, people want to know why he did it, whatever. Again, most of the websites that were targeted, independent sites, were critical of Hungary's critical of the Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban's government, while some pro-government media remained untouched. And again, DDoS attacks, disruption types of attacks, whenever you see them, they're typically always politically aligned. Almost always, right? There's a reason why someone would do that. And this happens to be it. Every side of the spectrum, right, left, has an extreme. And every extreme wants to silence the other opinion because it doesn't agree with it. And that's the danger of what cybercrime's gone into. Is the fact that cybercrime's prices are so low that it makes it really, really accessible. And now with AI, it's even more accessible. And so it's something we have to be mindful of. These stories here on the channel were apolitical. Like, we were very critical of any government when they don't do the right thing, and we applaud governments when they do the right thing, irregardless to what administration does it. These types of situations are always there. And as security practitioners, we have to be aware of them. We have to understand that, but we also have to understand that at the end of the day, the only way civilization can continue to grow is not by political divide, but rather by the spreading of information, by the free flow of information, in order to form a valid personal opinion on the matter based on your values and beliefs, and respecting someone else's ideas and ideals as well, as long as they don't harm yours. So there's that. You don't need to shut down sites that are critical of someone. You need to be able to provide a better argument. That's the key of any sort of debate. That's it for our show this morning. We'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern, live from Israel. It'll be 4 p.m. It'll be great. You'll love it. I like doing these afternoon shows. Like I said, I get to go to the beach in the morning and take it easy, and then I come in and I get ready for the show and start my work day. I kind of like this. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to do it forever, but it's nice. A little bit better balance. So that's it for our show today. Again, we'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern live. Until then, go check out CyberHub Podcast after the show for the summary of the show, or find us on your favorite podcast listening platform. Have a great rest of your day. And most importantly, y'all, patch those endpoints and stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.